I'm leaving the Los Angeles Passport Agency after trying to acquire a new passport after mine was expired and misplaced by quite a bit. And I've been impacted by the executive order, and they are effectively banning me from travel, though they will not call it a travel ban. They stated that they would at first give me a passport that had the male identifier on it, though I have my sex legally changed to female. And two states and administratively with the federal government through Social Security before as well. And after claiming that they would give me the male one, I said any is fine as long as I'm able to travel. They came back and said that actually, this is the first we're hearing that, and we won't be able to give you that either. We won't be able to give you any passport. We have no further information.
Jesus. I bet you this is like not broad policy. This is just like a consequence of everything happening so quickly and all the rules being written so vaguely. But like, yeah, that so basically just her passport has been stolen. I mean, how is that even legal? Oh well, it's not. But like the so is a lot of the stuff the Trump administration is doing, you know? So if I have my legal sex change sealed by a court, could this still happen? That's what she just said. She just said that. Legally, her sex is female.
They wouldn't tell me anything. I spoke to one person who wouldn't give me any information, which led to me speaking to a supervisor. And they towed the same line where they will not call it an effective travel ban, though that is the impact where my travel plans I cannot make. They will not give me any passport with any name, gender, sex of any form. And that is the case of what we are dealing with right now in the United States. There is an effective travel ban. If you are trying to get a passport and you've had any sort of change with your gender, I've heard a lot of people saying things like, oh, it's fine if you just want to get a passport with your old gender, it's
Yeah,
fine.
that's like that was what was stated. I have a feeling that people from whatever office you gave your passport to, I have a feeling they probably don't know what's going on. I thought they wanted trans people out of the country. They're doing a whole like smorgasbord of Nazi shit at the beginning, but it has yet to like coalesce into a consistent or meaningful pattern, you know? Like what do they want to do? What's the goal here, you know? Because just taking passports doesn't make any sense. Not legally recognizing the existence of transgender people does, at least from the perspective of being Hitler. What this just seems like a consequence of, I mean, it could just be like maximize broad spread suffering, but you know, this is going to lead to lawsuits if this was done broadly. They're taking any route they can. Yeah, it's pretty clear like the administration has basically no handles. There's no brakes on this bike. So we're just they're throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. Same thing happened in Weimar though. They didn't immediately get sent to the camps. It was a bunch of awkward mismanagement at first. Yeah. But I still don't think death camps are like the sensible end goal. You know, there are a great many eliminationist-minded Republicans. It's so difficult to get away with stuff like that these days. The closest I think they could get is by doing mass arrests because effectively, like American prisons might as well be concentration camps for how fucked up they are. But we'll see. We'll see, I guess.
Uh, that's not true. They will not give it to me. And when I asked for more answers, I only left the office under threat of arrest. They stated that they would arrest me if I asked any more questions.
Okay, so like I'm not saying she's lying. I just want to know like what the that means. Like what are you talking about? A passport office? So wait, okay, passport office like what? So I assume this was not DOL, that's the Washington term. What's it? The DMV? Like who under what circumstances does that happen? You're at a DMV, you're like, I have questions about the passport you won't return to me, and they're like, we'll arrest you. I don't I don't understand like how things move to that point, I guess. I go to the post office for that shit. Well, that's even more unlikely at a post office, somebody being like, we'll arrest you. I don't get it. I'm not saying she's lying. I'm saying I don't get it. I think the conversation may have gotten heated. The conversation might have gotten heated. The conversation might have gotten heated.
So I left peacefully, but I only left under threat of arrest. And it seems that I will not be able to travel outside of this uh, country, which is effectually now on the same playing field as North Korea, um, politically,
That's
where
true.
its people cannot leave under threat of arrest, even in good standing. So, per the executive order, look out, everybody. And
Absolutely insane. Would the point of this be to flood the courts with smaller cases and civil rights so when they do worse things in the future, it'll be easier to do unchallenged? I mean, they are trying to overwhelm people at the beginning, for sure. 100%, yeah. Do you think something like forced conversion therapy on adults be the endpoint? The problem, I don't think you could start doing like gay bashing the way you used to. There are too many gays. Like back in the 1960s and 70s, the police were able to get away with a lot of their like gay bar raids, anti-cross-dressing laws and so on because 99.9% of people walking around are in like a fedora and a suit or a dress or whatever. It was usually like very small concentrated groups of queer people who like stuck together. Nowadays, go to literally any city, Miami, Orlando, Houston, Austin, it doesn't like any city. They're everywhere. So like could it happen? Sure, but like to what can you imagine? Like we're talking like the greatest and most wild ineffective act of civil repression in maybe human history. I can't think of any other example like of that kind of I don't get it. I don't know. I don't get it. I remember the story from a guy who said he saw a raid on a truck stop that had like 300 guys flee into the woodwork while the police reported seeing only 3. Yeah, it's a famous story. It's actually really instructive, you know? There have always been a lot of homos, you know? I tell you folks, they're everywhere, okay? And, because they were so kept in the closet back in the 1950s or whatever. The story is basically cops would do raids on like truck stops that were cruising sites, bars, that kind of stuff. And the cops showed up to this one place to, find some gays and bust them up and take them to prison for a night just to, mess them up or whatever. And the police showed up there. One of the guys at the truck stop screams, scatter. And like 100 guys run out basically. But the thing is, because of the way the truck stop was designed, a lot of them were hidden from one another. Like they were all doing this anonymously. So it wasn't like a 100-man orgy or whatever. It was like 2 or 3 guys in a little corner and then another in a little corner, all hiding from each other because they were all socially segmented. So the lesson from this is essentially visibility overwhelms state repression, right? Like there were only a few cops there. There were tons of gay men there. If all the gay men had been together, like just as a group, not just like in just as a group together, what would the cops have done? Taken one and arrested one? Like they literally would have been looking at a crowd of people, like 40 times as many people or whatever. Like it wouldn't have worked. Apes together strong. But nowadays, all the homos are out in the open. So you get me. De-arresting and counter-police tactics require a kind of conviction that Americans just don't have. Well, you relearn those tactics. But at the same time, I'm just saying I don't really see that kind of crackdown being, like, possible. Foch in the Weimar Republic, before the Nazis took over, nobody could have imagined trans people being turned into the camps either. No, that's not true. I understand the comparison that's being made, but it's important to understand, okay? Berlin was a very progressive city, but, like, trans people in the Weimar Republic in 1922 or whatever was not trans people today. Like it not even remotely the same, So I'm not set. Like I just want to warn against people who are worried about that kind of backslide. You'll see like one photo of like a cross-dresser in like a black and white photo, and they have like a cigarette through that cigarette holder, like the long cigarette, you know what I mean? And you're like, oh man, it was like a queer haven. It really wasn't. It really wasn't. Huh? Yeah, people like those long cigarettes. They love that stuff. Anyway, I'm not saying the comparison isn't like apropos to an extent. I just want to be careful about like the proportioning of the comparison. We see the few pictures that survived. Yeah, we also see them taken in like private rooms, like the historians scrape those photos together. But, there have always been gay bars, but gay bashing doesn't really happen today the same way it did then. I mean, it happens, but like there are plenty of gay people just walking around in America. Just, even in red states, red cities, rural areas. It's a lot of progress you'd have to backslide on. Not saying it can't happen. Not saying it can't happen. Just want to be, A little careful. You think there might be more economic oppression like mass firings? Well, that question presupposes the belief that queer people work anyway. But I think they've insulated themselves from that, from that potential weapon to be used against them.
This new administration, I just got my new passport in the mail and they changed the gender to male because of Donald Trump.
You're really selling it too.
Proof, there's my picture, very cunty. And yeah, there's that big ugly M. Yay. Now, mind you, all of my other documents are updated to female, and I've been fully surgically updated to female. But this is what they had to say. The sex was corrected on your passport application. The changes were made for one of the following reasons: to match our record. I had a passport when I was a kid that I used once. So basically, it doesn't matter that all of my other documents say female and that I've had my sex change surgery. Nice. If you've had a passport in the past that displays the opposite sex, then they will not honor your gender change. Now, obviously, I will be seeking legal action. My email is in my bio for any experts out there, or you can just DM me on IG. Because look, I am an adult and I have undergone my full...
How likely is it that actually trying to use these will get caught in some bullshit because people think it's fake Papers, Please style? Pretty likely. I think one of the big, avenues for progress moving forward is probably going to be, trans people very publicly using the restrooms they don't identify with as a way of demonstrating how absurd this all is, here's a selfie in Trump's America. Here I am in the men's restroom, and she looks like this or something. It's again the important thing, from an activist perspective, is just making sure as many Americans as possible understand how insane this all is. They need to be keyed into it. And it's not just going to be humanitarian concern for trans people. You're going to have to defer to stuff like common sense, which is a stupid heuristic to go by, but most Americans are stupid. So, you meet them where they're at. Relate it back to them. Yeah, or trans dudes in the ladies' restrooms. You got to be careful with that, of course, because it's not like they're not going to attack you in there. People keep calling on trans men to do it, and it's we get beat up for that shit, right? Yeah, but you're going to have to do it anyway is the that's the problem. You're being forced to do it. What I'm saying is visible attention has to be drawn to this, because the goal here is to completely lock you out of public life, right? If you can't use any public restroom, that's a huge element of being out and about. You're kind of locked at home then. Every time you need to piss, you got to run back home or hope that there's a single restroom with a single, stall or whatever, no gender. Sure, maybe, but the goal here is to lock you out of public life.
Medical transition. There is nothing about me anymore that represents male on the exterior whatsoever. The only thing that them denying to put female on my passport does is put me in danger while traveling. That's all it does. I'm in danger now. They are only doing this to scare people like me because they don't want us in public life. They want us to hide in fear and be...
Hey, did she watch my videos? I can't believe she pre-watched me talking about her in this video.
Scared of them, but trust me, I'm not going anywhere. Trans people have been here and we're staying here, and I will fight this. I'm not scared. I'm not gonna cry. I could still leave the country if I need to, but this saying male is crazy. Look at me, bitch. This is a direct violation
I'm glad she's taking this opportunity to farm compliments. I don't blame her. I'd do the exact same thing.
Of my rights as an American citizen.
Am I being trans misogynistic to find the way she talks annoying? No, that's just misogynistic, I think. She passes so well. I think that congratulations. Now it's just misogyny. So maybe that's a little better. I don't know. Scientists haven't figured it out yet.
Under the Equal Rights Amendment, it's just a violation of my rights in general. I submitted a passport application that was intended to update my...
Okay, Loops. Yeah, sorry. I'm not an Instagrammer, okay? I'm not hip with the Instagramming. You get me? Yeah, it's pretty grim. I just don't know how effective it can be, I don't think there's ever been a rollback on the visibility and public life of queer people from this level of acceptance. I know it doesn't feel this way, but America in 2020 might be, or might have been, about as pro-queer as any society has ever been, at least in the context of modern history. You can parse it out a little. Maybe Sweden's a little more, Mexico's a little more, but it's up there, you know. Most of the time when you have these big crackdowns, you're doing it against a community that is either stigmatized to the extent that people are already like murderously violent against them, like Jews in Germany. There were lots of Jews in Germany. They were pretty well integrated, but anti-Semitism was like, again, it's a different kind of beast, okay? The median homophobe in America is like, I don't think they should be able to marry, and I think they're weird. And the median anti-Semite in Weimar, Germany, I can't even say what they thought, okay? I can't say it on YouTube. I wouldn't want to say it at all. So it's not comparable in that respect. There's just so many queer people in public life. And God, Hollywood, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. What about the panic defense being used to acquit people who kill LGBT people? Oh, I mean, they've been doing that for ages. They're going to keep doing that. That's still going on, yeah. I mean, yeah. My secret on how to deal with that, don't get murdered. I know. I'm not saying it's a skill issue, but it's good advice. Pro tip for anyone making fake passports. Yeah, pro tip for anyone making fake passports, don't. You idiot. It's a passport, not a state ID to get into a bar, okay? You're not making a fake passport. Don't be silly. You have to want to live more than they want you to die. True. They're not going to put it on the wall of shame at the beer store. No, they will not. No, they will not. Anyway, yeah. Getting scary down there. Out there, I should say.